Alrighty. Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow. So 6 more weeks of winter here on the east coast of the United States. So the groundhog is the best of the best when it comes to telling us what the weather's going to be. Get rid of all those satellites in the sky. All right, let's see what's going on here this morning. Let's put the Swiss franc up there. See how the Swiss is doing. How about that silver situation yesterday? They learned that they cannot muscle on the Federal Reserve, that's for sure. Let's see, right there, there's the Swiss. You can see Swiss moving up just a little bit more compared to yesterday. And at the same time, that says dollar is stronger. So, and let's go find it over here on the weekly. We're going to kind of leave this on the weekly a lot of times, the J4X, just to give it a flavor to, be able to match it up to our work. It's nice to be able to see both sides of it. Whoop, not that. Whoop, there it is. Right there. There's the Swiss. And so the Swiss is showing that it's going up, which means the dollar is much firmer. And we talked about that article yesterday, talking about, maybe things will top out. And, we talked about the cryptocurrencies. Where would you go? In other words, if you sell dollars or you sell pounds or euros or whatever, zlotys, lira, you choose it. If you sell it, what are you going to interchange it with? And that's the real challenge right there. Trying to figure out exactly what you can interchange this stuff with. Oh, let me see the chat line. I'm not seeing the chat line. Where's the chat line? I guess I have to make that bigger. Like that. There's the chat line. Now I see it. Robin's there. Hey, Robin, how you doing? So, yeah, that's the big key right there is what is the alternative? It's, where do you go? Now, I understand we are going to have, yesterday afternoon, I think it's, people ask about Ethereum or something like that, and now they're going to have a second futures. They're going to start a second futures contract. So that'll be really good to see how two different cryptocurrencies are treated through the derivatives market. And that's going to be very interesting. So yeah, there's going to be a second one. Robin got his shot yesterday, right? Do you have to go back for a second shot? Robin got a C19 shot. Yeah. So we'll use you as the ground zero and the observer. You can tell us how you feel each day. So let's see what else we got brewing here. So that's what you can see is going on at the moment. The dollar is firmer again. Remember, everybody was thinking that the dollar was going to get whacked from some of this craziness. Also, we see I guess the best way, the GameStop vigilantes. I guess that's the best way to describe them, is vigilantes. The GameStop vigilantes who thought they could take control of the silver market. Silver yesterday made the biggest one-day move in decades, and today it's making the one biggest day move on the downside. Yesterday was on the upside, today's the downside in decades. So 2 weeks, another shot? Okay. Well, I'm sure everything will work out very well. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think it's all going to be good. We'll be hanging there with you. So in the end result is that the silver, let's put silver up there. Let's just show it real quick. Let's see which mouse, go with this mouse here. Move that seat in. And there is there, and there, and there is, that's gold. Now, what's interesting is that the spread in gold platinum is still holding up pretty well. There's gold. Let's just reload that for a sec, because we're looking at it really quick. There we go. We'll come back to it later and just observe. But there's silver this morning. You can see the nice big drop. We did put a little warning in here because these were plus at one point, and that's why we were 3 days in the buy, and now we are on line 9. We're 1 day in a sell now. We closed in a sell last night, and you can see they've pushed this thing down. But we've been in a weekly sell out of this whole thing, out of this whole move in here. And I don't see the conviction. I don't see that drive or hunger. But these Reddit / Robinhood investors, which are fine. You know, free markets, free people. So as far as I'm concerned, let them all fly. Let them do their thing. If they want to buy one share, they want to buy 10,000 shares, whatever it is, let it rock. But don't bring in the government to interfere and try to decide how to trade markets. Free markets, free people. That's the way we look at it there. So in the case here, you can see this selling down here has been relatively tenacious. Might as well save it while we're here. So we'll do that. And we can go take a look at the metals complex real quick, unless someone wants to look at something in the currency fact area. And we'll go back to the currencies. But while we're here, we might as well just save the metals sector. And you can see here, you know, gold is moving down with the silver, and it's not holding up. And save that, and there's gold. There we go. So then take a look at this. I found this to be very cool, and that is that, you know, Robin and I put up that story about the platinum. And you can see the platinum is not getting as pounded. It's down. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I mean, it closed yesterday at the what was that, 38, almost 39. We can round it out to 1139, and today it's trading at 1109. So it's down $30 from yesterday. Let's just reload that, and then you can see the spread is holding up very well, though, and it's still in the weekly too. That's the thing, is that the platinum, whereas the others are flirting and constantly going back into weekly sells also at the same time, platinum is holding up very well. You know, it's still in the weekly buy here, and it's run very nicely. It's going up a couple $100 against the gold. And then when you look at gold here, gold settled yesterday at 1864 basically, and is now trading at where's that at? Trading at 1844. So it's down $20. So it gave up $10, the spread itself. But overall, it's still trading in the $730 area. So it's heading towards that $700 number. Before you know it, we'll be telling you how it's at 680 or something like that. And so that's what's going on with the metals market there. And then copper didn't seem to even take it serious at all, which I found very curious. You could see 3 days ago, it was in a sell. Yesterday did not, you know, it did not reach for the copper. I really thought that was a real warning sign. And sure enough, you know, you can see the pressure on it, and it had closed into the weekly sell last week, but you can see it's flirting with its weekly buy number at the moment. We'll see how they hold that up by the end of the week, and see if it climbs back into the weekly buy, or, you know, rolls over. And you know, it's been a nice run. It's gone from the $3 area to the 360, 370 area. So it's a big move in the metals market. Let's move this off the screen so it doesn't interfere. So let's do that. There we are. And let's save that. There we go. And so that's the metals complex, which is always worth looking at. All right, now we'll go back to the currencies. Just wanted to get them out of the way. And we'll take a look at the euro and see how the euro is acting this morning. You can see on the fact check spreadsheet, it's 5 days in a daily sell still, and 3 weeks. So it's got some pressure on it. And obviously that's why we see the, you know, the Swiss moving up the way it is. Now let's put it up on there, on the J4X right there. And you can see the pressure on the weekly chart. Big down candle. And let's go over to here for this one and put that in there. And this will be heading down. See? Right there. And we've been in the daily sell there for a bunch of days now, a full week, I guess you could say. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I heard somebody. Oh, that's a pretty picture. More snow. Let's see what's going on. Also, I saw something flash on the Dukascopy chat line there. Okay. No, nothing here. All right, excellent. So that's happening to the so that's happening to the euro, Let's take a look at cable right there. Cable's doing the same thing. It's feeling the pressure, but notice a little different. Not, it's really tightened. And still holding on by the hair of its chinny chin. Trying to stay in the weekly buy still. Just by the hair, whereas obviously Euro is 3 weeks. Is that 3 weeks? Yeah, right there. 3 weeks in a sell. And cable, we keep on thinking cable's going to stay on this trend. It's just going to try to battle with the upwardly trend and just, since it's been in there in the high 28s, 128 area, we think that the change away from Europe is probably going to be better for it in the end. And even if they have this crazy lockdown and where they're trying to figure out with the lockdown, and I'm not even sure what they're trying to figure out with the lockdown. Sometimes it becomes a true enigma. I'm not sure where they're going and what they think at times. But in the end result is that we'll just see how they play it out. I mean, that's pretty much what it really comes down to. All right, let's jump over to Turkish Lira. And there it is there. This has been sliding for a couple weeks now. And weekly and daily. This thing is a real trender. Boy, imagine if we had some good options in that. That would be fun. Unfortunately, the margins are outrageous and the liquidity is impossible. The bid and offers are wide. No one wants to take the risk in making a market in it. Let's see, and let's put it up on here too. Let's see what it looks like. Dollar lira. Right there. Truly a good Tuesday, isn't it? And there's that lira just moving down slow and steady. It's trying to find some type of bottom in here, as you can see in our work too. But our work, it's even more flimsy in the sense that you can see this thing has not gone after the manifold here on a daily basis for a while now, and almost a full week, and it's not even on a weekly basis. It's not even touched the histogram or the negative time manifold there, and it's not chasing after any of it. All right, now we'll jump over to what we do is to go to the energy sector. We kind of take a look at Canadian right there to start with, the dollar against the Canadian. You see it's today it is, let's refresh that. It looks like it is trying to push through the sell, especially if we would get a red dot there. And you can see the histogram is pushing, but we got the green dot. And at the same time, you see the weekly now is trying to get through the plus side after all those weeks. So we'll just put that there like that. Change the color to it just to give everybody a heads up that something is brewing there, like so. Oh, we don't need to do that. Go like that. There we are. And so you can see here, the weekly is trying to turn up since the weekly sell signal in the low 130s, and the daily is doing the opposite battle. It's trying to roll over, but the dots are trying to hold it up at the same time. So this is a little bit, as we used to say in the old hedge fund biz, it might be tomorrow's business, but not today's. That's exactly it. It's tomorrow's business. Looks a little leaky, I used to say, like a little rowboat with water coming in on it. And let's take a look at it on a week-to-week basis over on J4X. Right there. I bet the white line is piercing the dotted gold one. Let's see. Still calculating. There we are. Yep, see, it's broken through there. A week ago it did it. And it's ripped through the CCI too at the same time, so it's really showing some strength in there. Now we went into the daily buy here, but you can see we are just starting to get some action here for our weekly. So we'll see how they go, if this holds up or if it rolls back over again. And that is that. Now let's drift over to, let's see, where do we go from here? Let's go to let's go over to, let me see, we'll find it here. There it is right there. go to the NASCAD. That's the other side of the oil sector when it comes to currency pairs that we look at. And we'll put it up on here too at the same time. Right there. That is cool. NASCAD holding on firm. And what do we have here? You can see here the daily is trying to roll over. So there's a little pressure there. We even got a red dot going on, and we could literally put a little red line in there at the moment. It's just showing that type of weakness, which insinuates normally that some pressure on the oil sector. Now, whereas oil, when you look at the Canadian against the dollar, you know, it is rising, so that's also a little pressure on there. Now, I could have sworn I saw this morning, like around 3 hours ago, that it was really firm in the oil sector. So let's take a look at the oil sector itself. Yeah, look at that. They're running it. So those currency pairs are not marching in the same direction as the oil sector at the moment. Look at that, looking very firm, and you can put a little green line through there, like so. Trying to get into the buy. Very cool. Save that. And let's move that down and get rid of that out of everybody's face. There we are. Okay. And that is the crude oil. Now, normally, like I said, looking at these currencies, I mean, no matter what, even with this big long uptrend in the NASCAD, and you can see we've been in a long weekly buy in the crude itself, they're showing some real life in it today. They're really reaching for it. Quiet day today. No one asking any questions. Bummer. We'll just keep on going through the rhythm here. So now we'll take a look at natural gas. And I think yesterday natural gas tried to take off, right? Yeah. Let's give that a reload and refresh. Yeah, we went to the buy yesterday. And they're doing, let's move that over like that. You can see it's spiked today. They spiked it up even more. I guess that's that snow thing going on outside. Supposedly since 1869, so that's 2 centuries ago, New York hasn't seen this much snow. And as Doc is saying, we are going into an ice age. And what's going on there? What is this? This is natural gas. Like that. So that's where my head is at. I'm thinking that there is some issues going on here that are not being taken very seriously. And that is that we are moving towards an ice age. And the global people are into this warming thing, right? I think that's what I don't know. They've gotten so frustrated because they call it global climate change now. They call it, isn't climate change just weather? In other words, is it getting hot or is it getting cold? But if you're going to tell me the weather is changing every day, I say, yes, you're right. All right, so now let's take a look at the next thing in the energy sector. I think what we do is we run over to bean oil. That's what it is. We take a look at bean oil because you can burn that in a tractor or in a machine, depending on how you refine it and commingle it with some other liquids. It's flammable. That's the answer to the whole thing in the end. It's flammable. I guess that means you could drink it too. And the end result is that, let's go to right there, March oil. You can see now that's been sideways. Now we're in a weekly sell, but we've gone basically sideways. I mean, unchanged for 4 or 5 days. We're in a weekly buy, so it's awful hard to put a push on the downside. This thing likes to trend. Notice it gets into a sell here, does that for a while, it gets into the buy again. It's winner, winner, chicken dinner. And then it gets into a trend for the downside, and then a buy side again. This thing does trend nicely. So let's save that one. I keep on hearing Punxsutawney Phil's music in my head. And there we are. So the bean oil is acting very, very sideways. And the work is telling us that it wants to go down on a day-to-day basis, but the big, long uptrend from the 35 or 34 or 33 or whatever that is area where it went into the weekly buy has been just a good, solid run and doesn't seem to be making any real signs of crash. It's just flirting with the top of the time manifold there on the weekly. All right, let's drift over to, where do we go from here? That's our energy sector. We take a look at the energies, and that's the energy sector. Now, where else? We've looked at the currencies we normally look at. I want to see what the ruble's doing. Because they've had some really interesting action. Ruble's 2 weeks in a buy and 11 days in a buy. Let's see what the ruble looks like here. I was looking at did anybody see that picture of the estate that Mr. Putin has allegedly built? I don't know if he has or has not on the Black Sea. It was cost 1.3 billion. Allegedly, he built himself a really nice complex there. Maybe we'll find I can show a picture of it. Let me see. I did save it. It's very fascinating. And I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, you know how the media is. At least you know how it is in the United States. You don't know who's controlling it and who's saying things, and and who likes and who doesn't like, and so forth and so on. But let me show you a picture of this thing. Wow, it's just breathtaking. And allegedly, Mr. Putin had this built for himself. I don't know where he dug up the 1.3 billion, but it's definitely got a few people interested in where the money came from. Let's see, there, we're gonna go like that. All right, now let's go find it. We're gonna find you a picture of it. It's really good. Pretty place. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. How do we do this? Let's see if we can do this. Guess, how do we do this? If I exit that. Oop, okay. Then I do that again. And do that. And then do this. There you go. Look at that place. Is that cool or what? And allegedly, that's Mr. Putin's. Nice looking place, huh? Cost 1.3 to build. Nice view. So that's what's floating around on the internet here the last 24 hours. Hard to take too serious, but it just is what it is. There's always something crazy going on in this world, especially with being all connected together. Hey George, how you doing? Do I know where? Yeah, they say it's here it is right here. They say it's on the Black Sea, erected $1.3 billion. They call it a palace on the Black Sea. Navalny has charged that. Oh, that's the fellow against him. See, things have also gotten interesting regarding the Navalny's allegation that Putin has erected a $1.3 billion palace on the Black Sea. Trying to see, I don't know, but it looks. I like the view. It has a nice view, Let's see, billion place. Naval charged that it was paid for with largest bribe in history. I don't know where, but isn't that a nice picture? Nice looking complex. Well, there's a lot going on. I mean, it could be like, we have Camp David. Maybe this is the Camp David for the Russian government, and they'll have meetings there, and people will go golf or do something, do something peaceful. Who knows? But it's nice. We'll see how it plays out. I'm sure in the end result that'll, in a world where things are connected. I mean, imagine the whole media complex in the United States. All 6 companies have taken, have cut off a lot of information, but it still gets out. we still hear, we hear, we see, it as much as maybe half the population is not seeing the information, the other half is. So you can't really hide this stuff anymore in this type of era with the internet connecting the whole world together. Me is in case in point. Here I am broadcasting to you every day and documenting it and fact check spreadsheet and YouTube and all that stuff. So, you can't hide things. So that is what it is. Now, let's see, where do we go from here? Care to see anything, George? Anti-thing? Anti-thing? Do 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 do. All right, let's jump over to, how about the indices? We can take a look at the indices. That's kind of neat. Let's see what the indices look like. We had the Nasdaq, give us that volatility signal, and it's definitely in the buy here now. We can actually move that line right there down, or do this. We can just go put a second one in that right here, and that's where we are now. It's moved into the buy. And let's see, let's just give this a refresh. Where's that reload at? Oh yeah, right there. And we'll give that a refresh. And they're just lifting up again. Like I said, the GameStop vigilantes, who really propped up companies like Nokia and Bed Bath and Beyond. It was more than just GameStop. GameStop was the antithesis, I guess you could say. It was the thrust of it all. It really was, because it went from $20 to $483, almost $500, and that was pretty wild. Whereas the others maybe only doubled in price, and then they tried to go do it to the silver yesterday and found out that that's a little bit tougher to do. Now you can see here's the S&P 500, and it's holding up fairly well. It's trying. You can see the weekly is also doing the same thing as it did in the Nasdaq, the Nasdaq itself. It's doing the same thing here. It's playing with the weekly already again. So, and it's doing the same thing here with the S&Ps, not as strongly, but it's trying. There's some life kicking out in that. So we're seeing the stock indices still lifting from yesterday, and there's not much of a reason to believe that they're not going to keep on trying to push up. Oh, okay, I think NQ had a daily buy last night, right? Yep, exactly. It had that volatility signal right here. Let's go back to that. Right there, had the volatility signal. So the close of this bar last night at the U.S. close of 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the new opening bar, as long as it's higher, it's a buy instantly. And sure enough, we've got, it's in the buy now from last night. And so you have to wait a few hours for it. And you can see it's playing with the weekly here at the same time. After all those weeks in a buy, they went into the sell last week from the I want to call them the GameStop vigilantes. I think that's the best way to describe it. Now, here is the Dow. I thought this was interesting, is the Dow's like really lagging compared to the rest of them. It was really trying to fight its way not to go up. Now, you can see here, yesterday was relatively unchanged. I mean, it was up from the day before, but overall it was just a quiet sideways day, like almost like a hangman or something like that. And then today they're starting to lift it. Now we need more action, and you can see the weekly here, it doesn't seem to care. It seems to be just just basically saying nah, it's okay, we're not gonna be too paranoid about the whole thing. We're just going to let it play itself out a little bit longer. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average, even with the 6 Nasdaq stocks in it, can be relatively chill. And then what I kind of think, I was saying to somebody last night, I'm really convinced that these funds were, just because of the action we saw. Let's see, let's do this again. Let's refresh this. The action we saw in the Russell 2000 for the last like 5-6 weeks, where it went from 1,800 all the way up to 2,200, which is a 400-point move, which is almost like a 20-some-odd%, like a 24 or 23.5% increase. 400-point move at an 1,800 index to 22. is pretty powerful. It's literally almost 25%. And we did not see that action. In other words, we didn't see the Nasdaq in the same time frame. It went from 12,500 to 13,500. Less than like a 6 or 7% move. And when it came to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, same situation. As a matter of fact, it's actually down. It's actually down from that same time frame. It's a minus. Whereas you can see here, this thing back in December is playing the 1800s, and it runs to the 2200 in less than 2 months. That says a lot. And in the S&P 500, same situation. It went from the 3700 area and moved up to the 3741. That's, again, you're not talking 10%. You're not talking, you're talking like 3 and 4% action. So my only guess, and I remember saying during these webinars, I was relatively confused. I was looking at this and saying, this is crazy. But I think what was happening is I think that the hedge funds were buying Russells, thinking it was going to hedge them with the Nokia and the GameStop and so forth. In other words, they figured that if there was going to be strength in that sector, and they were short a bulk of the big names like Nokia, Bed Bath Beyond, GameStop, and a few of the others. Their logic, classic, hedge fund logic, not be hedged, but offset. They refer to that as an offset. You're offsetting your risk because you're not hedged. You're offset. You're hoping that you're going to get the performance out of the offset position that you've created. And so, I was perplexed to see remember I was saying the cheapest of the cheap, the lowest valued index of the 4 that we watch, the Russell 2000, was running mad and strong and aggressive, and now we probably know why. They probably kept on thinking, well, I think I'll sell a little more GameStop and a little more Nokia and a little bit more Bed Bath & Beyond. I think I'll sell all this stuff, and I'll offset it with buying the Russell. And the Russell went up, and those things went down, and they probably, in other words, money managers were probably like, oh, we're smart. Our shorts are going to go to zero. And then the GameStop vigilantes, that's what I like to call them, the GameStop vigilantes, the Reddit Robinhood people, got involved, and they trapped the shorts. And they had them trapped for a while, but again, today I saw GameStop is down to 144. So it has dropped 75% now from its high, basically, almost 75%, I guess 68%. So 483 to 144 is $340, almost $339. So it's dropped $339 now from its high. So I mean, it's lost 70 some odd percent almost of its value. And is it going to be a $20 stock again? More than likely. So, and that's why Citadel and some of these other big hedge funds were willing to lend money to the hedge funds who got trapped in that squeeze, because they know that there's and the end result is there's no way in the world GameStop is going to sit at $300 a share. It's going to fall back to the real the price discovery area, and that's probably anywhere from 65, 75 bucks all the way down to $10 or $15 or $5, something like that. And so we know that was where it was going to go in the end result. It had no choice. Just because of a short squeeze doesn't mean that all of a sudden earnings are going to explode and money managers are going to want to buy something. It just means that right now they have to hold their position and just wait. And at the same time, the Russell, which ran very aggressively, as you can see on the screen there, is still holding up. And I'm sure that let's put it this way, I doubt they're selling Russells and buying GameStop. I doubt that. I really do. They've got lent money, and more than likely they're just going to hang. Let's see what else we have here. I guess that's about it. So I think that we've gotten that point across very clearly, and which is fascinating. And let's take a look at, since we do the indices, I always like to finish off indices with the alternative. And that is Bitcoin. And I'm looking forward to the new product starting on the 8th, I think it is, of February. So 6 days from now, we're going to have a new futures contract. Let's go take a look at that. Right there. And showing some life in there. It's up from yesterday. Whoop, let's reload that. But you can see the weekly is minus, and it's in a sell from last week. And you can see it's been in a daily sell since this wild and woolly day there. And it's trying to lift up today. And you can see it's trading live there at 35,200 and is it 210, something like that. And it's 35,175 bid for, 35,245 offered. You know, now it's a 90 bid at 40. It's about $50 wide market. So that's a big tick, that's for sure. And we'll see if they, can get some life into this and start to see it move up again. I guess the last time we saw something like that was a decent one was the winner chicken dinner here when it was in a weekly buy. Then it went into the sell for a day or two and then went right back into a buy and had that odd spike the next day. And then it goes back into the sell here and it rolled over. And it tried to get into the buy here and then rolled over again there. And then you had your sell off. And now you've had another spike. And it's not going down. It's just going sideways there. So, oh, coffee. We can go look at that. Hey, Middle Age. How you doing? Let's see. Let's save this. Doc's going to save that. And let's put that in the old folder. Alrighty, right there. So the Bitcoin, the alternative is still evolving as the alternative. Now let's take a look at that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut that, close, and then open the other right there. See, where do I park that? I know I park it somewhere right there. That's what it is, right there. Let's take a look at coffee. Right there. Let's give it a refresh. Reload. And you can see here, it went back into the buy. Let's put the line in. So it went back into the buy there. Did a couple days up. And now it's back into the sell. Look at the strength in it today, though. And you can see they've popped it this morning. No, that's yesterday. Okay, that's yesterday. But it's still in the sell. Looks like, what did we have here? We were in a weekly all the way up until, well, we're actually flirting with the weekly sell this week. We've tried it last week there, or 2 weeks ago. It failed, popped up again, and now it's flirting with it again. So let's put that little warning thing in there like that. Go like that, make it dark, and make it cute little dots like so, and make it a little bit thinner like so. There we are. And so there it is there. It's flirting with the weekly sell. This time it looks pretty good. The histogram is minus and the blue line, the green line is minus. And so, and I'm not sure. We're watching two different things on this. Let's see what they are. So the 6 is oh, I see. It's not a white line. It's the gas 5 part of the super out of the 3-5. And then so you got plot 4 and plot 1 is the white histogram and the green line. Okay, and now the bluish one right here is the plot 5 on the super. And so the other two are 3s. So gas line 3-5 super. The histogram is a 3 and the green is a 3. And then this line here is the interesting how it jumped out and showed the strength of this coming much sooner than the 3 did. And you can see here it's trying to show the weakness now. You know, it showed you that the weakness was here. Then it flirted with the buy again. That's why we use that as a smoothing out factor, using a 3-5. And now you can see both there. So how's that, middle age? Pretty cool or what? Coffee's doing something. I guess they're trying to sell it down. Is that what it is? Looks like it's flirting with the weekly sell now. So you got to be, if you're long it, it's time to take off those calls. Time to think about selling some calls, buying some puts. Or at least do it this way. Call spreads, or do the binary thing. Sell call spreads and buy put spreads. Do the binary thing. That binary thing. All right. And now, let's see, where else are we? Here's the dollar index. While we're here, we might as well look at it. There's a dollar index. That's what the Swiss is reflecting. Let's go back to the Swiss there. That strength. See it right there. That's all that strength on a weekly basis. And you can see the same thing is going on here. We've been in a weekly buy for 3-4 weeks full, going on a fifth week on the weekly side of it. And now you can see the daily has really gotten firm for the last couple of days, and it's lifting up also. And so we've got some strength coming back into the dollar. Now, I mean, the dollar was very strong in the Biden administration, and so under Yellen as Fed chair. So now that she's secretary, she even has more juice, and Mr. Biden is part of that philosophy. So you would think that the dollar could be stronger, not weaker, as much as we've seen some strange stories about the possibility. Good. Yeah. Off of that spike on the JO, right? Let's just take a look at it again. That spike up there. Do you keep a picture of this, or did you go back and look at it the last time we looked at it? Did we look at it like 3 or 4 days ago? So you had a good idea that this thing was flirting with the weekly? Are you paying attention to that? Or did we have that sell in, or did I have to put that sell in? Or was it this sell the last time you looked at it? I'm not sure last time we looked at this. But anyway, I'm glad. The idea is take the money and run. Keep it. That's the answer to it all always. If you keep on taking profits, you stay in business. If you don't take profits, sooner or later, I used to say this in the webinars all the time, if you have a position on and you're making money in it, if you don't take it off when you're making money, the next time you're taking it off is when you are losing money. So, it's definitely something, you want to do is take profits. Now let's see what the Nasdaq, there's a Nasdaq on the QQQ showing the strength also. And did it make it into the buy there yesterday? No, it didn't, but it's doing it today. So it's trying to definitely get into the buy there today, like that. Let's save that. QQQ right there. And you can see we went into the weekly sell last week, and it's doing its flirting thing also with the weekly on the QQQ, just like the NQs are doing. And it's doing that push. And this thing's doing the same thing too now. We're above at the moment. We can put the cute little circle in there, actually. Do that circle thing. And make that dotted. And so we're seeing the S&P 500 do the same thing. It's trying to make a lift into the buy side again. Again, I think a lot of that was just the vigilantes forcing the funds to basically liquidate assets that they probably did not plan on doing. I can hear them in their meetings in my head because I've heard it over and over again over the decades. And that is that they're probably saying, maybe next quarter we'll lighten up a little bit. We're getting a little heavy in the portfolio, but everything's looking fine. I can hear that. That's what all those early morning meetings are every day, analyzing the portfolio and trying to figure out what they're going to do next. And then the Russell, in this case here, the Russell's doing, it's very firm in here today. It's also trying to make the climb into the buy. This thing doesn't go into a weekly sell. Like I said, I really think the Russell was an offset. They were trying to use it as a hedge. It's a horrible idea, but what else is new in the hedge fund industry? They always come up with stupid ideas. The industry itself is truly dangerous. That's why the 2 and 20 guys are really far and in between now. So, all right. So that's pretty much the flavor of what's been going on. Let's see. I just want to take a look at the bonds. see what the bonds are doing. There's the 10-year. Now, I tried to climb into the buy yesterday, and look at that. They are smack. That didn't make it. It was the day before. So it was the day before, I guess, they went into the buy. There. And then yesterday, they had a green dot, so it's not a sell. But today, they are flirting with the daily sell again. So when this is going down, interest rates are going up. And I guess that's a good reason why the dollar is going up. That makes sense. That's usually the way it works. Now you can see it's in a weekly buy here for since last week. It closed in the daily, the weekly buy. So the 10-year is seeing a little weakness in here. Let's see what the 30-year looks like. Right there. There's the 30-year. Now the 30-year is still in the sell from it all. It missed it. Couldn't get into the buy. And it did get into the weekly buy. And it's holding up. Now it's starting to flirt with the weekly sell again. You would assume interest rates would be moving up because we're seeing the dollar move up. And that's usually the logic of it all. That's how it works. There we go. So there's the little warning sign that we're seeing some... Oop, okay, there we are. We're seeing some weakness again on the weekly basis. And obviously the dollar is showing us, the pairs trades are showing us that they're weakening against the dollar. So that just tells you what's going on there. Let's see. Middle Age says, yeah, last week I took some. Okay. Yeah, with that daily sell, that was a smart move. Anyway, now that's where we are. Interest rates are rising. Again, just to emphasize that a little bit stronger, and that is under Mrs. Yellen, we saw the dollar very, very firm for when she was Fed chair. So now that she's Secretary of the Treasury, which is a much more powerful position as far as I'm concerned, chances are we're going to see a stronger dollar. She's probably going to, and we're going to see a stronger platinum versus gold. And I imagine those policies will, these are the Yellen spreads, I would call them. Best way to describe it. The Yellen spreads. And so that's where we are. All right. What else do we do? What else are we doing here? Let's see. So we've looked at interest rates. We've looked at the currencies. And we've looked at the metals. We've looked at the energies. We've looked at the stock indices. Anybody in particular? We've looked at coffee. Does anybody have anything else out there they'd like to see? If not, I'll go and take a look around. We were looking at ruble. Did we ever get to the ruble? We were starting to head there, and then I showed you that building. Let's go back to the ruble and take a look at that. I wanted to look at that on the ruble basis, So, let's see. What do we got here? Got something going on. And there. What is I'm not sure what that is. I just got a message. I'm trying to figure out what it is. Okay. That's what that is. All right, so let's get over to the ruble and take a peek. Let's see. Ruble. Ruble. Where are you? Ruble. Dollar ruble, right? I just saw it. The rub. There it is right there. And you can see on the fact check spreadsheet, where are we at with that? That is that line 15? No. Line 18. So we're 2 weeks in a buy and 11 days in a buy. The strength has been there in our math. Let's take a look at it. Oh, let's do this. Let's close this. Am I closing the right one? No, I'm closing the wrong one. All right, let's do this. let's close the stock thing. Get rid of that. Close. And then go back to the ruble itself. Open sesame. Where's that? Dookie Day. Dookie Day. Where are you? There it is. Dookie Day. Dookie Day. And as we move that down, and let's get rid of those. And let's go to the ruble. Right there. There we are. You can see today's flirting with that sell finally. It's been in a buy since back here, since that move in the 74s. I remember, matter of fact, we labeled that webinar back then ruble. Buy ruble, ruble up, something like that. Because it was a weekly and daily coordinated together that week. So that was 2 weeks back, going 3 weeks back, I guess, at this point. And so we had that move from the high 73s all the way up to 76 and change. And I don't know if we're going to go after this number there. Palace or no palace. You know what I mean? It is a, I guess the best way to describe that is that there's a, there's, the ruble can only go, I heard somebody say something positive about the ruble. I forget what it was. It was over the last 24 hours. I saw somebody, that's what caught my eye at the time. Oh, here's George. What's George say? If time, Doc, cotton. Oh, let's take a look at cotton. I forgot what it was exactly. Someone was saying something about the ruble. And it had something to do with energy, I think. And I thought it was very positive. You know, Doc's always seeing a positive with the ruble. I think the Russian Federation has so much more potential than, say, the Chinese Republic or whatever they call themselves. I really do. I really see the Russian Federation having more potential. And I know that seems to be odd because, there's a lot of, as much as, you have the poisoning of opposition leaders and, just all that bad stuff going on, at least you see it. And that's the thing that catches my eye is that you actually see it. Whereas, in the Chinese Republic, you don't see a lot of things that are going, like the concentration camps that they have and the re-education camps that they have and the slave labor camps that they have. You don't see that, They hide that really well, and the media likes to pretend that it doesn't exist. And in my head, sooner or later, the old Western saying about the long arm of the law will catch up with you in the end. And that's exactly the way I look at it, is that usually it does. It doesn't always happen, but it does. And I really think that's why I think the Russian Federation has hope, much more hope than the Chinese Republic, solely for specifically that reason. Okay, George, here we come. There's cotton right there, bale. It's been in a weekly buy since here. We're flirting with the weekly sell, just flirting. Now the blue is the gas 5. And so you can see it is trying to break down. Was that a minus gas? That's plot 6. Was that a minus? No, it wasn't. So it wasn't a minus. It didn't close in a minus last Friday, but it is there now. And when it comes to, you can see this, that was the sell, then it went into the buy here. Let's fill that. Let's widen this out and look at it a little bit closer for you. And you can see here it had problems trying to get into the buy. And then finally, after with that big move there, it finally got into the buy there and then pushed itself back into the sell and then jumped back into the buy there. Remember, all along, it's in a weekly buy, so you can't get short it. You just don't want to be long it. That's all it comes down to. So right there like that. So it pushes it back into the sell again. You can't be short it here for this move solely because it's in a weekly buy again. It's in a weekly buy from here. So there's your winner chicken dinner. Take a profit. and then you miss this move altogether on the short side and long side. It's a neutral. Then it gets you into there for one trade. It barely makes any money, and then it goes down. But then here's the winner chicken dinner again. It makes the money for this move right there, and then you get back into the sell again. Let's steal this sell right here. I'll just move it over instead of me inventing one. You can see that, and then it gets back into the buy. Look at it, 2 volatility signals. So it really has a hard time getting rolling there. There it is right there. And then the next day it can't because it's minus. So you can't have it there. So then finally, now you can't be long there. So basically the sell has been, has the sell been a sell all along? It's been a sell since here. And so we can put this buy back there like that. So it has stayed in the sell, but again, we're in a weekly buy. So you can't do this trade in here, which is fine, you know. And you can't be long because of the weekly buy. You have to be neutral. And now we're flirting with the weekly sell here, which is interesting. Like so. And let's fix that. Like so. And we'll make that pink. Like that. And you can see the action. Let's move that over. Like that. Let's move it over a little bit better. Like that. There we are. And so now we're flirting with the weekly sell finally in cotton since the move back in early December, which was a nice move. It went from 42 all the way up to almost 48. Is that right? Is that 40? Almost 48? Yeah. So now it's showing the weakness, and this sell here has not been able to get you into a buy. Let's just refresh that again just to double check it. That's the ETF. And so it has not been able to get you into the buy since here. It's been since basically here. And so it spiked once and then it rolled over. And then when it finally tried to get into the buy here, this was minus. So you can't get long. And even did that possibly could have? No, the histogram is minus there, isn't it? Yeah, see that plot? This is the plot 3, right? So you know what? That is a plus. So it did. So it got into the buy here. Where is it? Right there. And the next day, it went back into the sell. And so it goes back into the sell right there. So you eat up a little of your profit of your winner chicken dinner. Maybe. You might be just breaking even on it. And then the end result is that it's trying to roll over there. How's that, George? Pretty good? No problem. All right, traders, we will catch you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Happy Hump Day. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all Punxsutawney Phil's friends.